Have you ever noticed that the moment your life finally starts going well, you get into a healthy relationship, you start making more money, or you finally get into a good fitness routine, you suddenly do something stupid to mess it up? You pick a fight over nothing. You overspend. You skip the gym for a week. Why do we destroy our own happiness the second we finally get it? You are not broken, and you are not cursed. You are simply hitting what psychologists call the invisible ceiling. Your brain has a hidden thermostat for how much success, love, and joy it can tolerate, and the second you exceed that temperature, your subconscious hits the panic button. In this full-length audiobook, we are going to decode the anatomy of self-sabotage. I am going to show you why you are actually terrified of success, how to cure imposter syndrome, and how to finally shatter the glass ceiling in your mind. Stop tearing down what you've worked so hard to build. Let's dive into the invisible ceiling. The invisible ceiling, breaking free from self-sabotage and the fear of success. Introduction: the psychological thermostat. Welcome to the invisible ceiling. Imagine walking into a house on a cold winter day. The thermostat on the wall is set to exactly 65 degrees. Because it is freezing outside, the heater kicks on, working hard to warm the house. It rumbles, it blows hot air, and eventually, the room temperature rises. It hits 60 degrees. Then 63. Then 65. But what happens the exact second the room hits 66 degrees? The heater shuts off. The air conditioning kicks in. The system actively works to cool the room back down to 65. The house is biologically programmed to maintain that specific temperature, no matter what. Every single human being listening to this audio has a psychological thermostat. Instead of temperature, your internal thermostat is set to a specific amount of success, a specific amount of wealth, a specific amount of love, and a specific amount of joy that you subconsciously believe you deserve. We call this your upper limit. When your life is going poorly, when you are broke, heartbroken, or failing, your internal heater kicks on. You hustle. You work late. You read self-help books. You go to the gym. You fight tooth and nail to warm your life back up to your baseline of 65 degrees. But here is the tragedy of the human condition. What happens when things go better than 65 degrees? What happens when you get a massive promotion? What happens when you meet a partner who treats you with absolute, unconditional respect? What happens when you experience a day of pure, unadulterated peace? Your psychological air conditioning kicks in. Your brain sounds an alarm. It says, "Warning. This is too much joy. This is too much success. We are in unfamiliar territory. We do not belong here. Return to the baseline immediately." And so, you self-sabotage. You pick a fight with your perfect partner over the dishwasher. You get a bonus at work, and you immediately blow it on something you don't need, returning yourself to financial stress. You go on a diet, lose 10 pounds, and then binge eat for a weekend. You are not doing this because you are stupid. You are doing this because your brain is trying to make your external reality match your internal thermostat. You are destroying your own life to restore a feeling of familiarity. This audiobook is a manual for finding that thermostat in the dark basement of your subconscious mind, tearing it off the wall, and rewiring the circuitry. Over the next few chapters, we will explore the anatomy of self-sabotage, the deeply misunderstood fear of success, the crushing weight of imposter syndrome, and the exact steps you must take to expand your capacity for happiness. It is time to stop apologizing for your potential. It is time to break the glass. Let us begin. Chapter 1. The Anatomy of Familiar Misery. To stop self-sabotage, we first have to understand the primary directive of the human brain. If you ask most people what the brain's ultimate goal is, they will say happiness. This is completely false. The brain does not care if you are happy. The brain cares about one thing and one thing only: survival. And to the primitive survival brain, safety is synonymous with predictability. The brain loves patterns. It loves knowing exactly what is going to happen next, because predictability requires less caloric energy to process. This is where the trap is set. If you grew up in a chaotic household, chaos becomes your baseline. If you grew up constantly struggling for money, financial stress becomes your baseline. If you grew up believing you had to earn love through perfection, anxiety becomes your baseline. Your brain registers this misery as safe because it is known. You know exactly how to survive being broke. You have 10 years of experience surviving bad relationships. You are an expert at handling stress. But what happens when you suddenly experience peace? What happens when you have money in the bank and a partner who communicates healthfully? To the survival brain, this peace is entirely unpredictable. It is a foreign landscape. And because it is unknown, the brain registers peace as a lethal threat. It whispers, "When is the other shoe going to drop? This is too good to be true. I need to ruin this now, on my own terms, so that I am not caught off guard when it eventually falls apart." Self-sabotage is simply a twisted form of self-protection. It is you choosing familiar misery over unfamiliar joy. You procrastinate on the big project because the stress of rushing at the last minute feels like home. You push away the loving partner because the adrenaline of a chaotic breakup feels normal. To break this cycle, you must practice a profound level of self-awareness. You must learn to catch yourself in the act of turning on the air conditioner. When things are going incredibly well and you suddenly feel a spike of anxiety, an urge to drink, an urge to pick a fight, or an urge to isolate, pause. Acknowledge the mechanism. Say out loud, "I am hitting my upper limit. I am feeling the urge to sabotage because I am scared of this new altitude." Just by naming the phenomenon, you strip it of its power in the shadows. You move the impulse from the primitive emotional brain into the prefrontal cortex, where logic lives. You realize that the anxiety you are feeling is not a sign that something is wrong. It is simply the growing pains of a nervous system expanding to hold more light. Chapter 2. The Elephant and the Peg, Limiting Beliefs. In parts of the world where elephants are trained for labor, trainers use a very specific psychological trick to keep these massive, incredibly powerful animals from running away. When an elephant is just a baby, the trainer ties its leg to a heavy wooden peg driven deep into the ground. The baby elephant will pull, tug, and fight with all its might, but it is not strong enough to break the rope or pull up the peg. Eventually, the baby elephant learns a belief: when my leg is tied, I cannot escape. As the elephant grows into a 5-ton behemoth, capable of uprooting massive trees and flipping cars, the trainer still uses the exact same flimsy rope and the exact same small wooden peg. The adult elephant could snap the rope with a twitch of its leg. But it doesn't even try. Why? Because the invisible ceiling was installed in its mind when it was young. The physical rope is no longer holding the elephant back. The belief is holding the elephant back. You are the adult elephant. Most of the beliefs you hold about what you are capable of achieving, how much money you deserve to make, and how people will treat you were installed in your brain before you were 8 years old. You heard your parents fighting and learned, money is the root of all evil and causes pain. You were mocked for raising your hand in class and learned, standing out makes you a target. You were told you weren't good at math, and so you decided, I am not a smart person. These are your wooden pegs. They are invisible, inherited narratives that you have accepted as objective facts. To break the invisible ceiling, you must become an archaeologist of your own mind. You must dig up these beliefs and examine them under the harsh light of adulthood. Take a piece of paper and write down the phrase, I can't achieve my ultimate goal because... And let your subconscious fill in the blank. Because I am too old. Because I don't have a degree. Because people like me don't get lucky. Because I am a fraud. Look at those sentences. Are they fundamental laws of physics? Or are they just stories you've been repeating for 20 years? Every time you hear that limiting belief whisper in your mind, you must act like a ruthless defense attorney cross-examining a witness. Where is the evidence? Is it absolutely, 100% true that you are not smart enough? Has anyone with your exact disadvantages ever succeeded in human history? If the answer is yes, then your belief is a lie. Pull up the peg. Snap the rope. You are operating with the strength of an adult, but the programming of a child. It is time to update the software. Chapter 3. The Terrifying Reality of Success. We spend so much time talking about the fear of failure. But the fear of failure is actually quite easy to understand. We don't want to look stupid. We don't want to lose our money. We don't want to be rejected. But what if I told you that the fear of failure is just a mask? What if the thing you are actually terrified of is success? The fear of success is the darkest, most hidden barrier in human psychology. Because if you fail, nothing changes. You just go back to your normal, familiar life. People will comfort you. You get to play the victim. You get to stay in the tribe. But if you succeed, everything changes. If you lose the weight and get into phenomenal shape, you can no longer bond with your friends by complaining about how out of shape you are. If you start making a massive amount of money, the dynamic with your family might change. They might judge you, ask you for loans, or accuse you of changing. If you write the best-selling book, you are suddenly burdened with the expectation of writing a second one that is just as good. Success brings visibility. Success brings profound responsibility. Success often brings isolation. As you climb the mountain, the air gets thinner, and the crowds disappear. We subconsciously self-sabotage because we are terrified of the altitude. We are terrified of leaving our tribe behind. We are terrified of the pressure that comes with being the person who actually pulled it off. To break through this ceiling, you must grieve the loss of your old life before you step into the new one. You must accept that outgrowing your current environment means that some people will not applaud you. Some people will be triggered by your growth because it holds up a mirror to their own stagnation. You cannot shrink yourself to make other people comfortable. If your light hurts their eyes, they need to put on sunglasses. You do not dim your bulb. Acknowledge the fear of success. It is real. It is heavy. But the pain of staying trapped in a life that is too small for you is infinitely worse than the pressure of stepping into your true potential. Chapter 4. The Imposter Syndrome Trap. As you begin to push past your upper limits and achieve things you previously thought were impossible, you will inevitably encounter the final boss of self-sabotage, imposter syndrome. You will find yourself sitting in a boardroom, or in a beautiful new house, or holding a degree, and a voice in your head will say, "You trick them. You are a fraud. You have no idea what you are doing, and it is only a matter of time before everyone finds out and takes it all away." Imposter syndrome is the feeling that your internal reality does not match your external accomplishments. Most people try to fight imposter syndrome by accumulating more external validation. They think, if I just get one more certificate, one more promotion, or one more award, I will finally feel like I belong here. But the goalpost always moves. You get the PhD, and then you feel like an imposter among other PhDs. Here is the radical truth about imposter syndrome. It is not a sign that you are a fraud. It is a sign that you are growing. The only people who never experience imposter syndrome are narcissists and people who never leave their comfort zones. If you feel like an imposter, it simply means you have stepped into a room where you are no longer the smartest person. It means you are playing a bigger game. It is a biological indicator of expansion. Furthermore, you must realize that everyone is making it up as they go along. The CEOs, the politicians, the best-selling authors. No one was handed a secret manual to the universe. We are all just adults walking around in nice suits, trying our best to figure it out based on the data we have today. When imposter syndrome strikes, do not try to convince the voice that you are perfect. Instead, reframe it. Say, "Of course I don't know exactly what I'm doing. I've never been at this level before, but I am a master at figuring things out." Shift your identity from the expert to the student. An expert is terrified of being exposed as a fraud. A student cannot be a fraud, because a student's only job is to learn. When you show up to your life as a student, curiosity replaces anxiety. You give yourself permission to ask questions, to make mistakes, and to grow into the room you have entered. Chapter 5. Expanding your capacity for joy. We have dismantled the theories. Now we must do the physical work. Breaking the invisible ceiling is not just a mental exercise. It is a neurological and physiological practice. You literally have to train your nervous system to tolerate higher levels of positive emotion without short-circuiting. Think of your nervous system like a muscle. Right now, it can bench press 100 pounds of stress with ease. But if you hand it 50 pounds of pure, unadulterated joy, the muscle trembles and drops the weight. We must build your joy capacity. The next time you experience a moment of pure happiness, whether it is a beautiful sunset, a compliment from a stranger, a profound moment of connection with your child, or a major win at work, pay attention to your body. Notice how quickly you try to rush past it. Notice how quickly your brain tries to insert a worry. This sunset is beautiful, but I have so many emails to answer. I got the promotion, but what if the taxes are too high? Your brain is trying to cool the room back down. Stop it. When the joy hits, plant your feet. Take a deep, physical breath into your belly. Count to 10. Force yourself to stay in the positive emotion for just 10 seconds longer than is comfortable. Feel the warmth in your chest. Let the compliment land. Do not deflect it. Look the person in the eye and simply say, "Thank you." By sitting in the discomfort of joy, you are manually rewiring the thermostat. You are signaling to your survival brain, "This feels intensely good, and we are not in danger. We are safe to enjoy this." Do this every single day. Microdoses of sustained joy. Over time, 65 degrees will no longer be your baseline. Your baseline will rise to 70, then 80. You will become a person who naturally dwells in a state of abundance, without waiting for the other shoe to drop. Because you will realize that even if the shoe does drop, you have the strength to pick it up. Conclusion: shattering the glass. We have reached the end of our journey together, but the real work is just beginning. The architecture of your mind is no longer a mystery. You understand the thermostat of familiar misery. You have identified the wooden pegs of your limiting beliefs. You have stared the fear of success in the face. You have unmasked the imposter syndrome, and you have learned how to stretch your nervous system to hold the light. The invisible ceiling above your head is made of glass, and glass is fragile. For your entire life, you have been crouching, keeping your head down, terrified of hitting the ceiling. You have made yourself small so that others could feel comfortable. You have dimmed your light so that you wouldn't be rejected. But you cannot live the rest of your life in a crouch. Your spine was built to stand tall. The next time you hit your upper limit, the next time you feel the urge to burn down the beautiful life you are building just to feel safe, I want you to take a deep breath, look up, and stand up anyway. Let the glass shatter. Let it rain down around you. Yes, it will be uncomfortable. Yes, it will be loud. But when the dust settles, you will look up and realize there is nothing above you but the open sky. You deserve the love you are receiving. You deserve the success you have earned. You deserve the peace you have fought so hard to find. Do not apologize for your altitude. Do not retreat back to the basement. You have outgrown the cage. Step out. Stand tall. And claim your space in the sun. Thank you for listening to The Invisible Ceiling. Your new life is waiting. Go build it. Stay tuned for our next audiobook.